welcome back to another episode of Danbro Business in Conversation. Today we're joined by Phoebe, the founder of .recruit. So I was just wondering whether you could tell us a little bit about what it is that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are accounts and finance recruitment specialists. We specialise solely in the Lancashire area. So we have a really, really niche market. We have been established since 2019, July 2019. So sort of 9 months before the pandemic, but we won't talk about that. We might talk about that, but so we're now a team of, we're currently averaging sort of between 4 and 5 employees. We have just had a little bit of a shake-up. Right. We have had somebody leave and we are looking to bring somebody on board. So we're kind of, by the time this airs, we'll probably be about 5. And we've got some quite big growth plans over the next 3 years where we're looking to expand from where we're at now to 16 heads. Still just operating in the Lancashire area. But then servicing our clients with more kind of, specialist desks in other areas rather than just accounts and finance. But obviously that's how you guys know us.
Right, okay, amazing. So what inspired you to start .recruit in the first place?
So I think I always knew that I was going to work for myself one day.
That
was kind of like a non-negotiable in my mind, that I always knew that that's what I would do. I didn't know exactly what that looked like. I actually thought it would be something in the motor trade because my family specialise in sort of converting Volkswagen vans into camper vans. So they have their own business. My sister's in business with my dad.
Right.
So
entrepreneurial.
Yeah. So, and I'm from kind of like I was the only person that was actually employed in my whole family. My parents and my grandparents were all kind of self-employed. So I was the odd one out.
Right.
So I think I knew that was always going to be an option.
Yeah, definitely.
But the reason sort of I ended up in recruitment in the first place, I got into recruitment when I was 19. And to be honest, it was to avoid going to uni. I was getting quite a lot of pressure from my grandparents to go to uni,
graduate,
and go and make something of yourself.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I was never sort of talented at anything in school. I was average at everything. So when I found recruitment, I was like, wow, I can actually make something of this, and I'm in control of how well I do, and I can actually be exceptional at this if I want to be. So I'd been with the business that I'd worked for 7.5 years, around about that time. And a lot had changed over that 7 years that I'd been there. It was a completely unrecognisable business by the end to what it was in the beginning. And not in a positive or a negative way, really. The business just changed a lot over that time because they were growing. They were bought out by a PLC. They were then headquartered in London, and we were the little sort of puny Preston office. So it kind of got to the point where the focus shift from quality placements and building relationships and doing the right thing by people, that was how I was trained, to quantity, making a load of money for the business. Your targets were getting higher and higher and higher. And it kind of felt as though I could give my absolute life and my soul to this business for them always to want more. And for you never to be given enough. And it kind of got to the point where I thought, I'm going to end up sacrificing all of my relationships that I've spent 7 years building to try and hit their targets for them to not have any thanks for it or anything like that. So I kind of thought there's got to be a better way to do this. And that was kind of the inspiration behind going on my own. Not necessarily to start a business, because the plan was to just kind of freelance. And somehow I blinked and there's 5 of us. So,
oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. So with starting your own business, how was the funding? How did you fund your own company? And do you have any advice for people that will or want to start their own business?
Absolutely. So I think a lot of it will come down to giving yourself a bit of a financial runway to take the pressure off. So for me, I just saved as much as I could before. I decided that I was going to leave probably about 8 months before I left. And I sort of took that time just to save as much money as I could. For me, I wanted sort of a 6 to 12 months worth of my salary in the bank. So that I didn't have to dip into any company profits that I'd made, any money that I made for the business. I didn't want to have to touch it. Which in hindsight was probably quite wise, because 9 months in, the pandemic hit. And if it wasn't for that financial runway that I created for myself, I didn't have anyone else to rely on financially. So if I hadn't have created that runway, I don't know where the business would be.
Right, okay.
So that really, some people are able to get funding elsewhere, but for me, it was just down to save up, basically.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
So before, when you mentioned about how you were at the company for like 7 years and things like that, do you think it's essential to have experience in the industry you want to go into before starting the business?
I think it is. I mean, there will be kind of exceptions to that. If you're going into business with somebody that's got a lot of experience in that field,
right?
As long as someone knows what they're doing. I remember once reading a book called Outliers, and there was this sort of concept of like the 10,000 hours rule. I don't know if you've heard of it before.
No, what's that?
But it's basically the idea that it's very rare that you're born talented at something.
Yeah.
You have to build expertise.
Yes.
And you can only really be considered an expert in something, whether that's anything, if you're like a professional basketball player or like whatever, if you play the flute, whatever it is, you'll have given it 10,000 hours before you can consider yourself an expert.
Okay.
So if you relate that to career, if you were to be working sort of a standard 40-hour week, that equates to about 5 years worth of experience.
Right, okay.
And really what I found really interesting about that, because when I read it, I got my little calculator out, like the geek I am, and I was like, how many hours had I done by the time I set up on my own?
Yeah.
And it just absolutely made sense, because it was really, I was there for 7 years, but probably by year 5, I would have been ready.
Yeah.
So I kind of stand by that in the sense that I feel like you do need to be an expert.
Definitely.
But more than anything, you need a reputation is going to massively help. So if you've just spent 5 years building a really, really amazing reputation for yourself in whatever you do, I think I'm relating this to a service business probably, because obviously my business is a service business. It might be different if you're in retail or whatever and you don't have that opportunity to build a reputation.
Yes.
But if you can, that reputation is what's going to carry you and what's going to massively help you. So I would say, you probably would
100%.
need to have experience.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there will be people that have done it without.
Yeah.
It would be a lot harder.
Yeah, definitely. So with .recruit having a massive presence on social media and things like that, what marketing and sales strategies do you use, and what are the most successful in them?
Yeah. So I kind of stumbled across LinkedIn accidentally.
Yeah.
I'd always been on there, but more of an observer really since 2013.
Okay.
But then when I set up on my own, and I'd just post like the odd vacancy from time to time, but I didn't use it really. I didn't know what it was for.
Okay.
But then when I set up on my own, about 12 months in, I started posting 3 times a week. And and that was just my consistent thing. I'm just going to be myself and post 3 times a week. Because I saw something, and funnily enough, I saw it again this morning on Instagram.
Oh my God.
And it basically said, it's all well and good basically being the best and working really, really hard to be the best, but you need to be the best known.
Right, okay.
You need to be known for being the best. And you can't just expect people just to wake up one day and be psychic and just happen to know about you.
Yeah.
You've got to work at that, getting in front of people. And I just felt as though LinkedIn it kind of just spiraled. I was just posting 3 times a week, and all of a sudden I've then had thousands of followers, and the majority, within 12 months of doing that, the majority of our business was inbound.
Oh my gosh,
we didn't really have to do like previously for like 7 or 8 years. I had KPIs every single day. I had to make 20 business development calls every single day. There were certain boxes I had to tick, and that's what sort of brought the business in.
Yeah.
But it's just suddenly shifted to post 3 times a week on LinkedIn, and that's what brings the business in. And I was like, wow, I've been missing a trick for like 7, 8 years here. Like how much easier could I have made my life?
Yeah.
So LinkedIn, 100%. The only other strategy really that I've found brings a lot of inbound stuff is Google reviews. So we just started asking people, can you just go on Google and just leave like an honest review of how you found the service? And we got really lucky in that, because I say we got really lucky. It's a good service, so people were giving a 5-star review. But what I didn't actually realise was that boosts your rankings up Google.
Okay.
And so if someone was to search accounts and finance recruiter Lancashire, we come up at the top now because we've got the most Google reviews.
Okay.
So that's another strategy that I didn't expect to be a strategy that just works.
Oh my gosh,
so,
That's amazing.
There you go, there's some secrets.
So with starting your own company and business, it is quite scary.
Yeah.
What was your biggest fear, and what have you overcome in the last couple of years with that?
That is a really, really good question. Because I think for a lot of people it would be fear of failure.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, I wasn't scared of failing because it just wasn't even an option to, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so that didn't even cross my mind. I think my fear was, what if I don't love this as much as I think I will?
Okay.
And what if I'm then not calling it quits because I've failed, but because I just don't enjoy it?
Yeah.
And I think I'm not really one of those people that cares that much about what other people think. So it wasn't really that. It was more
just if you didn't
having to justify for myself. Like, I've put everything on the line to set this up and I'm not enjoying it. And in those first 12 months, to be honest, I didn't enjoy it because I was working at home on my own at my kitchen table. It was boring.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, what am I doing this for?
Like isolated.
Yeah, I missed people.
Yeah.
And then obviously the pandemic, we all miss people.
Yes.
So as soon as I could bring somebody else into the team, that was when I started enjoying it, because I was like, right, the business is doing well. We're actually achieving.
Yeah.
I've got people I can build and develop a culture and a brand here. And that's the stuff that I started to really enjoy. But in those first 12 months, I was a bit like, oh no, I don't love this.
Yeah.
So, but you kind of have to stick with it.
Definitely. So being a business owner, there's a lot of hurdles that you've got to overcome. How do you handle it when things don't go to plan?
So in recruitment, I think that's one of the first things that you learn.
Okay.
Because you have to be resilient, because your product is people.
Okay.
And people change their minds.
Yes.
And there's nothing worse than getting so invested in an outcome for somebody. You really, really, really want someone to get that job, and then you've got to ring them and tell them that they haven't got it, and they're gutted and you're gutted, and you're like this all the time. Like, your emotions, they do call it the recruitment roller coaster. Like, it's quite a well-known thing. So fortunately, that lends itself really well to starting a business, because you will have things not go to plan. Like, that's just life. That's inevitable. But fortunately, I've developed a coping mechanism there on the recruitment roller coaster for the last 10 years. So if I was to think about, right, in that case, what are the steps to handle it? It depends what it is. But if it's something really bad and it doesn't go to plan and it knocks you, the best advice I would give someone there is get away from your desk, just go for a breather. If you can talk it out with somebody, talk it out. So my sister obviously is in business with my dad, so sometimes me and her might go for a walk around Preston docks just to clear our heads and vent about whatever's gone wrong that day. It's not something that, I feel like I need to do unless something really, really bad has happened. But if you're struggling, go for a walk, get out of the office. Give yourself, time cap how long you're going to wallow about it. Give yourself even set a timer for 15 minutes. I'm going to let myself just get it all out for 15 minutes. Scream if you have to, whatever it is. And then after that 15 minutes, right, what's my solution? How do I get through this? What's something positive that could come out of this? How do we pivot? How do we adapt? And I think things are going to happen all the time, but on different scales. And it's just kind of sussing out then how you're going to pivot and adapt from it. That's how I would say when things don't go to plan. It's very normal.
Right. Okay. So as being a young business owner, how was it like? Do you get a little bit of imposter syndrome, or?
I think even though, so I was 26 when I set up .recruit.
Okay.
But I've been in recruitment since I was 19. So imposter syndrome wasn't something that I felt like. I have a bit of a thing with imposter syndrome, where I don't know whether it gets blown out of proportion.
Okay.
My theory around imposter syndrome is that it's definitely not a syndrome. It's just a very normal response to being just pushed out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
Because if you, when do you ever get imposter syndrome about something that you've been doing for 10 years? You don't. It's the new stuff that feels uncomfortable, and you might feel like you're not good enough because you don't have as much experience as the next person. Or when I set up .recruit, I had 7 years recruiting experience, but I had no business experience. And so that was nerve-wracking, thinking are people going to take me seriously? But I think that's just a normal part of learning something new. Like this whole thing around imposter syndrome, it kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me. I feel like it is just so normal. Like everybody, regardless of whether you're young in business, whether you're setting up a business when you're 65, I think everybody is going to feel that feeling of being an imposter when it's something they've never done before. I think it's just so normal.
Natural.
Yeah. Well, I hope it is. Because, I do feel like that sometimes. So, I hope it's a normal thing. I think it is.
Yeah, surely.
It's being out your comfort zone, isn't it?
No, definitely. Well, with that, so how do you manage stress and anxiety with the company and in your personal life? Like, does it clash or...?
I feel as though most of the stress and anxiety in my life doesn't come from work, to be honest.
That's good.
So, which is probably good. Definitely. And I think that's just because I do love going to work now. Like I said, at first when I was working from home on my own and it was quite isolating and quite lonely, that was quite stressful. But really now it's more sort of like things that when you can't control something, when something just comes and absolutely blindsides you, and you can't control it, you just got to ride it out. That's where they're the only times I'll ever feel kind of stressed or anxious. And I don't know if that's because I have certain things I do kind of every day that I suppose is one of the things that someone might tell you to do to improve your mental health. So I do go to the gym before work, not every morning. 4 times a week I'll go to the gym, so I might go at a weekend or whatever, but I move like every day. And then I suppose there's probably a lot of stuff I do for my mind, kind of like listening to podcasts. I like journaling because I find that I might have a lot of things flying around my mind and I want to get it out, write it down and look at my thoughts. And then just kind of, I'm quite a chilled person, to be honest. Like, I love just doing chilled things, like with my friends, just like watching a film or going for a walk or having a bath, whatever. So maybe it's because I do all of this stuff that I don't feel stressed and
like
anxious.
you wind down sort of thing.
So possibly that. But I think as far as like work goes, unless there was something massive that hit us out of the blue, like a lawsuit, whatever. I feel like I wish I hadn't said that now, in case. But if something hits you out of the blue, then that's going to cause you that immediate stress of something. Right, but you just got to face it. You just got to deal with it.
Oh, well, definitely. Well, with the stress thing, so over the last couple of years, we've had COVID, Brexit, and now the cost of living crisis. How have you managed to push your company through that? And do you have any advice or?
So I suppose when those things happen, you're not alone. Everybody else is going through it as well. And so you can always, I suppose, draw on any kind of connections that you have. Like, I know a lot of other people that have recruitment businesses, and during those times I might reach out to them and say, how are you guys doing? Like, what's working for you? Like, how are you managing? More often than not, though, I think the best way to handle stuff like that is knowing that it's just going to be inevitable. You can't, there's always going to be ups and downs in the economy. Like, you can't change that. You can't
control it.
Bury your head in the sand and pretend like it's not going to happen, because it is. So you kind of have to be prepared for it. And I suppose in a similar way to how it was when we started, having that financial runway in the bank. So just being really, really careful with the finances and have 6 months worth of runway, I would say. That's what I aim for, 6 months worth of cover. For we probably naturally sit around that point anyway, because I don't go wild with the business bank account. In my mind isn't my bank account. So that's another thing I would say for any new business owners. You're an employee of your business. Unfortunately, I know you might want to just go blow all that money, but
you can't.
The sooner you see it as it's not your money and it's the business's money, better. So sitting at around sort of 6 to 12 months financial runway to cover all your overheads, your wage bills, and your rent and all of your expenses is what's going to take the pressure off when you hit the downturns in the economy. I would say anyway. Well, that's how I deal with it. That's how I am dealing with it.
So do you outsource any particular part of your business or? Everything. As
much as we can outsource. I don't want to get involved in accounts, and no offense to all of my accounting clients and candidates, but it's not for me. And I'm not an expert in it. So there's people better in stronger positions than I am to deal with that sort of stuff. So we literally outsource everything that isn't recruitment. We just don't put it on my desk, just get rid of it. Someone else can look after this. I'd rather do that.
So with being a recruiter, this might be a little bit weird. So with the current climate, is it hard to recruit for your recruitment company?
Yeah, so we're not immune to the recruitment challenges that everybody else faces, because I suppose we don't create the recruitment challenges, they already exist. So we still experience the exact same challenges.
Right.
So I think, especially in a smaller business, in a smaller team, where like at the moment with us, there's 4 of us in the office, I think we would rather not hire and ride it out than bring the wrong person in, because that one person can just upset the entire apple cart.
Right.
And I think when you've got a tiny team, that's everything you've got. That team environment is everything.
Yes.
Whereas in a bigger business, they probably don't have the luxury to wait out finding the right person. But at the same time, they could probably cope slightly better if they didn't get someone that potentially ticks all of the boxes.
Right.
They could probably get lost a little bit within that environment, and it wouldn't be so detrimental.
Right.
So, but yeah, we face the exact same recruitment challenges as everybody else. It's just, I mean, I suppose we know some of the little sort of tricks that might enable you to be more attractive in the market. But I suppose that's why a lot of our clients will work with us, so that we can help them be in that position as well.
Okay. All right. Okay. Amazing. So with your day to day, how much time do you have to devote to long-term strategy for your own business and company?
So I kind of break it down into sort of 2 categories: working on the business, working in the business. I think a lot of business owners do that, and I find that works best. So I'll have one day a week, it's a Friday for me, that I work on the business.
Okay.
And so if something crosses my desk sort of on an average day, and it's something that, you know, is going to be strategy stuff, that goes on my Friday plan. And if anyone's trying to get hold of me to sell me something, the team knows to tell them, just ring her on Friday, because that's when she's going to be in that zone of working on the business.
Yes.
If it's Monday to Thursday, don't bother me about it, because I'm working in the business and I'm an employee on Monday to Thursday, and I'm sort of the business owner on a Friday. That's how I split the 2.
Oh, amazing. So what is your favourite part of owning your own business and company?
There's a few things really. My team, like 100%.
Yeah.
Like, they are just so great to be around, and it's just so fun going to work every single day. Like, I miss it so much. Like, Sophia's on maternity leave at the minute, and Frankie's on annual leave this week. So it's just me and Claudia in the office. It's like I'm like mourning like for like my team members. It's like they've just gone, and there's this massive like gaping hole in my life. It's pathetic. But I just love my team. That's probably the best thing about owning it. And other than that, I would say the freedom to make the changes that are needed in the market.
Okay.
Because the recruitment industry needs a massive shake-up. And obviously when you own your own business and everyone else is on board with that vision, you can just crack on and go for it.
Amazing. So what advice would you give to somebody who wants to start their own business?
The financial runway, obviously how many times have I talked about that, but that just, it's imperative.
Yeah.
And also the thing we touched on earlier around kind of like getting your experience and starting to build your reputation early on.
Okay.
While you're starting to build your reputation and you're starting to get your experience, you might as well just start cracking on with building a personal brand as well.
Okay.
Because if you've got a personal brand, you've got your reputation, they go hand in hand. You've got your experience and you've got your financial runway. It's kind of like you're de-risking.
Yeah, you kind of set.
Yeah. Should be all right there, I
think. Last but not least, we ask this to everybody. How do you define success in your business and your own personal life?
Yeah. It's such a good question. For me, it's not about the things, the material things. I would say success to me is the freedom to live life on my own terms, do things that I'm passionate about, rather than on somebody else's time or on somebody else's terms.
Yeah.
And I suppose rather than accumulating things, it's kind of like an accumulation of personal achievements, or I suppose hurdles that you've overcome.
Yeah, definitely.
And then also an accumulation of kind of the connections and the people that are, you know, like having good memories and experiences and connections and people. For me, I think that's what it would be.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, that's really soppy, isn't it?
That's really nice. I think that's a lovely night to leave this on then. So thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.